Have you ever felt exhausted simply because you cared too much about others, what they say, what they think, where they stand compared to you? Every comment, every glance, every comparison acts like an invisible thread draining your energy day by day. It keeps you living in fatigue, in the constant need to prove, to compete, to be acknowledged. Yet the more you seek recognition, the more you lose yourself. The world today is so noisy that people have forgotten this simple truth. True strength does not come from being heard, but from knowing when to be silent. When your mind is no longer dictated by the opinions of others, when you direct all your energy toward building yourself, a profound transformation begins. You become not only more peaceful but more powerful than ever before. In a world that constantly demands expression, silence becomes an act of intelligent rebellion. Silence is not weakness, it is mastery. The weak need to speak to be heard. The strong act and let results speak for them. When you focus inward instead of scattering your attention across 1,000 external noises, your mind becomes sharp, clear, and directed. You begin to reclaim what is most precious energy. Every ounce of attention you give away to others is energy leaving you. And when that energy is depleted, you feel empty, confused, and unstable. But the moment you turn your gaze inward, pouring your focus into self-growth, nurturing stillness, and learning to listen to your inner voice, a new power awakens within you. It is a power independent of approval, untouched by judgment. It is the quiet strength that Buddhism calls samadhi, the mind firmly established in the present, unmoved by chaos, untouched by external pull. Silence is the beginning of wisdom. Focus is the flame that fuels strength. When you unite the two, you stop being controlled by the world. You begin to control the world within. And once you master that inner space, no one, no word, no circumstance can take away your peace again. The world may remain noisy, but within you a mountain-like stillness begins to form. And that is where true strength is born. In an age where everyone shouts to be seen, the one who turns inward holds the real power. External noise can only shake an untrained mind, but one who has found inner strength stands firm even in the storm. Buddhism teaches that all human suffering begins with the wandering mind, a mind pulled away from itself, chasing what does not belong to it. When the mind reaches outward, you lose energy. When it turns inward, you rediscover peace. Thus, true power lies not in competition or display, but in the ability to master your own flow of energy. Imagine a life where you are no longer disturbed by praise or criticism, no longer comparing, no longer running in someone else's race. A life where your mind stands firm, your energy remains your own, and peace becomes the natural foundation of every action. This is not an unattainable ideal. It is the inevitable result of mindful practice, of returning to yourself to what the Buddha called your intrinsic purity. When the mind is still, wisdom arises. When wisdom arises, actions become right. When actions are right, life naturally flourishes. Buddhism does not teach you to escape the world. It teaches you to live within it without being swept away. This is the art of the awakened one, to act, while observing, to live among people, yet remain inwardly calm. All serenity begins with one choice: to focus inward rather than outward. Each time you stop trying to change others, stop reacting to noise, and instead adjust your own mind, you are walking the path of the wise. Today that journey begins with understanding and practicing the 7 principles of stillness in applied Buddhist teaching principles that help you stop wasting energy on the outer world and transform it into inner power. They are not abstract doctrines, but practical ways of living, designed to make you resilient, clear, and free amidst a chaotic age. Be ready, for from this moment on, we do not learn merely to know, but to transform, to become masters of our body and mind keepers of stillness amid the noise and walkers of the true path of peace. Everything in your life is nourished by the same current of energy, the flow of your attention. Whatever you focus your mind on, that is what expands. This is not abstract philosophy, but a living truth the Buddha called Siddhapakaya Dhamma. The mind creates the world it rests upon. When you constantly pay attention to others, to comparison, worry, or judgment, you are unconsciously watering a field that does not belong to you. The result is exhaustion, mental fatigue, and a life that feels chaotic. Observe a single day in your life. How many times is your mind pulled away by gossip, social media, or the praise and criticism of others? Every such moment you drop a fragment of your life force. The energy meant to nourish wisdom, health, and peace is scattered into things you cannot control. Like a river pouring into barren soil, no matter how full the water it bears no fruit. Energy is the vital essence of the soul, and when you direct it in the wrong direction, you drain yourself from within. The Buddha taught, where the mind dwells there lies one's world. This means the world you live in is not the outer one, but the inner realm of your attention. If your mind is outward-facing, you live in reaction, comparing, grasping, restless. But if your mind turns inward, you live in mindfulness, clarity, and sufficiency. The essence of happiness does not lie in gaining more, but in reclaiming the energy that has been dispersed and investing it back into yourself. From today, begin by noticing where your energy goes. Each time your mind starts chasing someone or something, pause and ask, does this nourish me or drain me? If the answer is drain, return. Return to the breath, to the body, to the present moment, the only place you truly exist. When your energy gathers back, you will feel a deep stillness arise like a lake, settling into calm, so it can reflect the sky. Your life will not transform because you work harder, but because you focus better. Let your mind be like sunlight. When scattered, it only warms. When concentrated, it can melt steel. Once you learn to direct your energy inward, you no longer live in reaction, you live in creation. This is the first step to mastering your mind and body, focusing on yourself to give birth to a life of strength, clarity, and freedom. In a world where everyone wants to be heard, where everyone shouts to prove themselves, the one who chooses silence is the strongest. Noise is a sign of insecurity. Stillness is a mark of inner strength. The less confident a person is, the more they need to prove. The weaker the mind, the louder the display. But those with true strength have no need for show. They stand, without explanation, act, without announcement, and move through life like a mountain, steady, quiet, and unmoved. Buddhism teaches, the wise speak little, the foolish speak much, not because the wise have nothing to say, but because they understand that power lies in observation, not in judgment. Every word you speak drains energy. The untrained mind uses words to cover its inner fear, while the tranquil mind uses silence to see through all things. The wise know that when the heart is unsettled, speech easily becomes a weapon that harms both self and others. So they choose silence as a discipline, a way to refine the mind into stillness and precision. Look at the great masters, those of deep insight. They do not need to raise their voices. A single glance or gesture from them carries more power than 1,000 words. The energy of calmness always outweighs the noise of the insecure. In conversation, they do not seek to win. In argument, they do not need to be right, for they understand that the moment you need to prove, you no longer believe. Silence does not mean submission. Silence means control. When you refrain from reacting before understanding, you master the situation. When you pause before speaking, you protect your wisdom from being swept away by emotion. Learn to listen more than you speak, to observe more than you react. For sometimes the greatest strength is in knowing you don't need to display it. From now on, when someone shouts, argues, boasts, or criticizes, simply smile in silence. They are revealing what you have already overcome. Keep your mind steady, your words few, your eyes bright. The enlightened do not seek to conquer others, they seek to conquer themselves. And in that silence you will see true power lies not in sound, but in the presence of one who knows when to be silent. Nothing drains the mind faster than comparing yourself to others. Every time you see someone prettier, smarter, or more successful, you quietly deplete your own energy. Buddhism calls this the discriminating mind, the root of suffering. When your mind is constantly measuring, you will never feel enough. No matter how much you have, it seems lacking. No matter how far you go, someone always seems ahead. And in that cycle, you lose the most precious thing, the joy of the present moment. The truth is, you only see a fragment of another person's story, the bright parts, the curated parts. You don't see their sleepless nights, hidden fears, or silent failures, yet the comparing mind makes you forget that. You see the flowers blooming in someone else's garden, but forget that the soil beneath your feet also holds seeds that need tending. The more you look outward, the more your spirit withers, because comparison is the fastest way to kill gratitude. The Buddha taught one who knows contentment even lying on the ground is peaceful and happy. One who does not know contentment even in heaven finds no satisfaction. Happiness does not depend on circumstances, but on perception and the direction of the mind. When you appreciate what you have and understand that every person walks their own unique path, you stop running a meaningless race and start truly living. Remember, no one shares your exact path. Each soul carries its own karma challenges and timing to bloom. Let others be who they are, and you be yourself. Comparison is the trap that makes you forget your own uniqueness. No one has your story, your essence, or your road. So never measure yourself by someone else's yardstick. Measure by your peace and authenticity. Starting today, practice gratitude whenever your mind begins to compare. Be thankful that you have someone to learn from, but not to belittle yourself. Be thankful for the diversity of the world, but remember your own worth. Each morning, look in the mirror and say, I am walking my own path. When you stop looking sideways, the road ahead becomes clear. And when you stop comparing, joy returns, not the joy of victory over others, but the joy of one who has mastered their own mind. In a world full of demands, expectations, and invisible intrusions, protecting your energy is an art of living. Buddhism calls this sila, the discipline that guards the soul. It is not isolation, but preservation, a way to keep the heart pure so its inner light isn't dimmed by the chaos around it. Not everyone deserves entry into your mental and spiritual space. Not everyone carries energy that is wholesome to share. Energy, positive or negative, is contagious, and if you do not discern, you will become a victim of your own kindness. Many people confuse compassion with tolerance. Compassion is love guided by wisdom. Tolerance is letting others harm you in the name of goodness. The Buddha taught, one who truly loves oneself can truly love others. If you allow others to drain your energy, the complainers, the critics, the takers who never give you betray yourself, not because they are bad, but because they are unconscious, unaware of how their chaos spreads. And if you are not grounded, you'll be swept into that spiral. Setting boundaries does not make you selfish. It makes you respectful of yourself and of others. A garden blooms only when protected by a fence from the storm. Your life is the same. It needs boundaries to preserve peace. Observe who calms your heart and who disturbs it. After every interaction, if you feel depleted, that is a sign your energy has been stolen. In that moment, rather than blame, learn to withdraw quietly. Do not fear displeasing others when you say no. A conscious refusal is an act of maturity. You owe no explanation, no justification. Simply remain centered, for when the mind is still, everything naturally filters itself. When you choose who to give your energy to, your presence becomes pure, powerful, and uplifting both for yourself and for others. Remember, your presence is a sacred gift. Do not give it away carelessly. The ones worthy of your energy are not those who demand it, but those who help you return to yourself. Protecting your energy is not about escaping life. It is about living within it without losing your peace. When you know who may enter your inner world, you don't just preserve calm, you affirm the deepest truth of mindful self-love. In an age where everyone wants to be seen to talk about what they're doing, having, or dreaming of, those who truly go far are the ones who act in silence. Silence is not the absence of voice. It is the total concentration of energy. Buddhism teaches, stillness gives birth to wisdom. Agitation gives birth to confusion. Only when the mind is calm does clarity arise. Those who achieve great things never need to be loud because they understand that noise creates no value, inner power does. Observe water. When it flows gently, we think it is weak, yet it is that very stillness that allows it to carve through stone, smooth pebbles, and quietly reshape landscapes. The strong in spirit are the same. They do not boast, seek credit, or need validation. They know that every seed requires silence to sprout. When you speak too soon, when you broadcast every plan, your energy disperses outward. And when energy is scattered, focus is lost, and action weakens. That is why those who succeed rarely talk about what they're doing, their results speak for them. Silence is a discipline for those who understand themselves. It allows you to observe instead of react, to listen instead of argue, to act instead of display. When your mind is quiet, you perceive what others overlook. You are no longer swayed by temporary praise nor shaken by criticism. You learn the art of timing when to speak, when to hold, when to strike. The Buddha said, "The one who speaks much is not necessarily wise. The one who understands does not need to speak. The deeper your understanding, the greater your humility. The stronger your power, the quieter your presence. You no longer need the world's validation, only the truth in your own actions. In silence you hear the voice of intuition, the whisper of karma and timing. Every decision born from stillness is more accurate than 1,000 opinions from others. From this day on, keep your big plans and dreams to yourself and act quietly. Let the world see your results, not your intentions. Every silent step you take is a heartbeat of faith. When you move in silence, you protect yourself from distraction and accumulate inner strength, the force that makes every action carry weight. Those who remain silent do so not out of fear, but because they have transcended the need for approval. They do not need to announce their light. They simply continue to shine, and their light spreads naturally. So let silence become your language of wisdom and action your voice. From childhood we were taught to please others, to explain, to prove, to seek approval. And so we grew up carrying an invisible burden, the fear of being misunderstood, judged, or rejected. But the truth is this: you owe no one an explanation for how you choose to live. Your life is yours, your karma is yours, and your path only you can understand it. The Buddha said each being is the heir of their own karma. No one can walk your path for you, and no one can bear the consequences of your choices. Therefore, you owe no justification to anyone. Those who lack self-trust constantly seek permission from others. They fear opposition, disapproval, or misunderstanding. Yet true freedom does not come from being agreed with. It comes from being honest with yourself. When you live by your own values, you no longer need anyone's permission to be who you are. You don't have to prove that your path is right. You only need to know that it is aligned with your heart, your karma, and your understanding. The wise do not explain themselves, for they know that understanding or misunderstanding lies in the mind of the listener. Some people, no matter how many words you speak, will never understand because they see the world through their own filters. Others, even in silence, will understand because they listen with their hearts. So do not waste your energy trying to convince those who refuse to see. Save it for living rightly, acting justly, and evolving daily. When you stop explaining, you learn acceptance. Acceptance that no one needs to understand you for you to be at peace. You cannot control others' perceptions, but you can control your own reactions. Let your actions speak. Live kindly, firmly, and consistently. That is the clearest explanation. Those who truly understand you need no words, and those who judge you will never listen. And if someone leaves because you did not live according to their expectations, let them go. Life does not require everyone to love you. It only requires that you do not betray yourself. Peace does not come from approval, but from authenticity. Remember this: you have no duty to make others understand, accept, or like you. Your only duty is to keep your heart pure, your actions right, and your conscience calm, so that when you close your eyes at night, your soul rests in peace. When you no longer feel the need to explain, you will feel lighter, freer, and more powerful than ever. For in that moment you have entered a higher realm, one where you no longer need to be understood, only to be yourself. In an age where people expose nearly everything online, from their meals to their emotions, from their plans to their failures, we are slowly forgetting the sacred value of privacy. Buddhism teaches, when the mind rests in stillness, wisdom arises in clarity. When you preserve a private space, not to escape the world, but to listen to yourself, you rediscover what the whole world is desperately seeking: peace. Privacy is not isolation, it is a homecoming, a return to your breath, to your inner being, to the quiet voice within that you have ignored for too long. When you live constantly under the gaze of others, you lose direction. You act to be approved, speak to be praised, share to be noticed. But the more you open outward, the emptier you become inside. Peace cannot survive in noise. It blooms only in silence and boundaries. Notice this. Everything sacred in nature happens in quiet. A seed sprouts deep in the soil. The moon shines when the night is still. Trees stretch upward in the calm of dawn. Humans are the same. Every true transformation requires solitude. When you allow yourself time alone, you are not lonely. You are cleansing your mind of the dust of life. You step away from the noise to hear the voice of your soul, to understand what you truly want, need, and where you are heading. Privacy is the frontier of peace. It helps you filter energy and protect your mind from unnecessary intrusion. Not everyone deserves to know what you think, do, or dream of. Keep a portion of silence for yourself. It is the wisdom of those who understand life. For when things become private, clarity emerges. You begin to see what is real and what is illusion, what is the voice of the heart and what is merely the echo of the world. From today, spend time away from the crowd. Turn down the volume. Draw your energy back inward. A quiet morning, an evening without social media, a simple moment alone with your breath. This is meditation in daily life. In privacy, you don't need to perform any role. You simply exist. And in that moment, you touch the deepest layer of freedom, inner peace, something no external noise could ever buy. Every lesson shared today is not mere philosophy, but a key to returning to yourself. When you learn to direct your energy inward, you reclaim control of your life. When you understand that the loudest people are often the weakest, you no longer need to prove anything. When you stop comparing and seeking approval, your heart feels full again. When you choose who may enter your life, you protect your sacred energy. When you act in silence, you gather true power. When you stop explaining yourself, you live freely. And when you cherish your privacy, you discover peace, the place where all storms cease. None of this comes from the outside, but from transformation within. For the root of suffering is not circumstance, but our reaction to it. The Buddha taught, when the mind is pure, the world is pure. When you master your mind, everything around you naturally becomes lighter. The world doesn't need to be calm if your heart is still. Even storms appear as reflections on a tranquil lake. So begin today, not with grand declarations, but with small, quiet actions. Spend a few minutes each day sitting in stillness, breathing, and observing your mind. Speak less where no explanation is needed. Keep a private corner of your life just for you. Work diligently in silence, and let your results speak. Each day redirect your energy inward. That is the path of the awakened, the path of self-mastery. Remember, you don't need to be loud to be strong, nor perfect to be worthy, nor understood to be at peace. True power does not lie in conquering the world, but in conquering your own mind. When you are still, you see clearly. When you see clearly, you are free. And when you are free, nothing outside can disturb your peace. Now, take a deep breath, relax, and smile. Life doesn't ask you to defeat anyone, only to stay true to your heart, to walk your chosen path, and to keep your inner light bright amid the chaos of the world. That is the highest form of strength, peace in all circumstances. Carry that stillness with you into your work, your relationships, and every breath. For once you master yourself, nothing outside can ever shake your soul again.